Now we have to ask the harder question. If poor self-image can be shaped by school, family, silence, shame, fear, and old wounds, how do we stop passing the same prison to another generation? This is not only a question for parents. It is for teachers, older siblings, mentors, managers, friends, and for every adult who has influence over a younger person. And it is also for the way we speak to ourselves. The first principle is this: there is no perfect upbringing. This matters because some parents destroy themselves trying to be perfect, and some children spend their adult lives waiting for a perfect explanation before they begin healing. Neither path works. There is no flawless method. Every home has limits. Every parent has blind spots. Every teacher carries their own fatigue. Every person who loves a child will still sometimes fail that child. The question is not whether we can create perfect childhoods. The question is whether we can create honest repair. A child does not need a perfect adult. A child needs an adult who can say, "I was wrong." An adult who can say, "That was not your fault." An adult who can say, "I am learning too." One of the most damaging things parents can do is load their unlived life onto a child. A father who wanted to be a doctor may decide, quietly or loudly, that his child must become the doctor he never became. A mother who wanted admiration may turn her child into a project that proves her success. A parent who suffered poverty may confuse financial safety with the child's entire purpose. The child begins to feel love as pressure. They are not asked, "Who are you becoming?" They are told, "Become the version of me that I could not become." This can look like love from the outside: tutoring, lessons, discipline, planning, ambition. But beneath it, the child's self-image becomes conditional. I am valuable if I fulfill the dream. I am disappointing if I become myself. A child should not be forced to carry a parent's unfinished story. Another principle is this: children learn more from atmosphere than instruction. A parent can say, "Health is important," but if the child never sees movement, rest, respect for the body, or care for stress, the speech becomes background noise. A parent can say, "Books are important," but if the house has no living relationship with curiosity, the child may only learn that reading is another command. A parent can say, "Be honest," but if the child watches adults lie, manipulate, avoid apologies, or hide emotions behind pride, the lesson has already been taught. Children are not only listening to what we say, they are studying how we live. This does not mean adults must perform perfection. In fact, the performance of perfection can be its own prison. It teaches the child that love requires a mask. A healthier home allows imperfection to be visible without making chaos the center of the house. It lets children see effort, apology, boundaries, gratitude, rest, play, accountability, and grief. It teaches them that people can struggle and still belong. This is close to what Brené Brown describes in her work on wholehearted living and parenting. Children learn worthiness not only from our words, but from how we treat ourselves and others. If we want them to believe they are lovable, they must see love practiced in ordinary moments. If we want them to have courage, they must see adults tell the truth without pretending to be untouched by pain. One of the most practical rules is also one of the simplest: separate the child from the behavior. There is a difference between saying, "What you said was not true," and saying, "You are a liar." There is a difference between saying, "That choice hurt someone," and saying, "You are bad." The first gives the child a path back. The second gives the child an identity to carry. A child who lied can practice telling the truth. A child who believes, "I am a liar," may begin to live inside the label. A child who failed a test can study differently. A child who believes I am stupid may stop trying. A child who acted selfishly can learn repair. A child who believes I am selfish may either collapse into shame or become the label because there seems to be no exit. This is how language becomes architecture. Words build rooms inside people, and some adults are still living in rooms built by sentences they heard when they were young. You are too sensitive. You always ruin things. You are not like your brother. You will never make it. No one will love you like this. Maybe those sentences were spoken in anger. Maybe the adult forgot them the next day. But the child may have carried them for 20 years. This is why empathy matters. But empathy is not standing above someone as the wise healer while they are the injured one. Real empathy kneels down to the same level. It says, I know something about fear too. I know something about shame too. I am not here to look perfect. I am here to be with you. You cannot enter the dark places of another person while pretending you have no darkness. A parent who never admits fear may raise a child who hides fear. A teacher who never admits mistakes may make students terrified of mistakes. A leader who never apologizes may create a room where everyone protects themselves instead of telling the truth. There is an old story. Someone asks a wise man, I have 3 children. I want to do everything for them. What should I do? The wise man says, go home and love your wife. The meaning is not only about marriage. The meaning is that children are shaped by the emotional weather of the home. If the home is full of contempt, performance, coldness, or resentment, no speech about love will erase it. If the home is full of respect, repair, affection, and honest effort, children breathe that in too. This is not a call for parents to disappear into their children. In fact, children often suffer when parents make the child their whole life. The sentence, I sacrificed everything for you, can become a debt the child never agreed to carry. A parent's life should not end when a child's life begins. Children need adults who are alive. Adults with friendships, work, curiosity, health, purpose, and inner growth. Not because children should be ignored, but because a parent who has no life outside the child may turn love into possession. A child should not be responsible for making the parent feel that their life mattered. So how do we get out of the self-image prison? We begin with awareness, but we do not stop there. Awareness is only the door. Practice is the exit. If your trap is abandonment, practice staying present without controlling the other person. If your trap is defectiveness, practice letting one trustworthy person see something real. If your trap is failure, practice one small attempt where your worth is not tied to the result. If your trap is subjugation, practice one honest no. If your trap is unrelenting standards, practice finishing something at good enough and letting your body rest. These are not dramatic steps, but prisons are often left through small doors. A self-image built over years will not change through one speech. It changes when reality gives you repeated evidence that the old story is not the whole truth. You were not only the grade. You were not only the child who got left. You were not only the mistake. You were not only the label. You were not only the role your family needed you to play. You are allowed to become more than the prison that explained you. Please put in the comments. What sentence would you give to your younger self if you could sit beside them for 1 minute?